You know, there's a merit to that, right? So you take, for example, like Uber and taxi, right? That immediately changed the whole dynamic of the field. Or you take something like Airbnb and hotels, same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So innovation is going to come, and at some point it could come for your job, but you can have a better probability of being able to keep your job if you're irreplaceable. And one of those qualities of being irreplaceable is to be really reliable.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. Let's move on to the other part here. In terms of relationships, being reliable in relationships, how do you feel about that?
This is a conversation between friends.
None of what is said here should be taken as legal advice.
We are not experts in any way.
Take what resonates and leave the rest.
Let's get it.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. Back again for another edition of Shots of Info. Today, I'm sitting with my coffee cup. So, cheers.
I got some water right here.
That works.
Stay healthy.
Also, I got the same bottle that you got again. So, now we're twinning.
Hey, nice. I got this from you, though.
So, I got
nice. It's a nice bottle, not gonna lie. It's very comfy.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, in terms of what we're going to be talking about today, we have on the foundation section being reliable. And Michael thought this was a shade or, you know, a jab at him because he wasn't showing up, but it wasn't. It was just because I heard something about it, and I thought it would be an interesting topic to talk about. And maybe it can relate to, you know, the show or with Mike in the show, but at the end of the day, it's just about being reliable in life, not just here. So, what do you think about being reliable?
Right. Yeah. Well, I definitely thought it was kind of like throwing shade at me because I was a bit late today. But when it comes to being reliable, it has to be someone that you can count on, someone that you know if you need his or her help, they're gonna be there, or they're gonna be willing to do the best that they can to give you a hand or help you out. You know, I think being reliable most of the time comes with family and friends, but also oneself. Like you know, how reliable are you as a person to other people, or how reliable are you for yourself? Like, are you willing to work for your goal? Are you willing to do the task that you need to do? Like, you know, the to-do list, something that I have right here. Am I willing to do that today? I'm trying to push it. I'm procrastinating. That's your to-do list. I'm weak. Yeah, well, whatever works for you, you know. Like, everybody has different approaches for the same problem. So yeah, I think being reliable is mainly about how reliable or how willing to do the work are you towards to help other people, but as well to help yourself, because you need to be reliable in yourself in order to kind of expand that to other people as well. So I think that's my kind of thought on that. What about you?
Sure. So as I put it here, it's being reliable as it relates to work, relationships, and your friends, and stuff, right? So you basically hit on those points. So let's break it apart one by one. So in terms of work, being reliable at work is obviously a plus always, right? Because people can always count on you to do your work. Nobody has to worry about you. You're always on time. You're always doing your task. You're always doing whatever it is that you need to be doing. And that looks really good, right? And especially if you're in a job that, you know, has like a ladder system where, you know, if you do a good job, you might get a bonus, you might get a promotion, or whatever the case might be. The more reliable you are, the easier you make people's lives, and especially as it relates to work. And the more you're able to do that, the more value you bring to people. And then that is where people start, again, seeing you as a reliable person that they can count on, whatever the situation might be. And that's a good situation to be in, right? Because that starts helping you build networks. That starts, again, in terms of like getting promotions and being more effective at your job. People start looking to you for solutions because you're the one that's consistent and reliable. And oftentimes, a lot of people have a tendency of just doing the bare minimum in terms of work. they show up and, they only put in like 50% of their effort to get the job done. But when it comes to whatever, hopefully you're doing a job that you actually enjoy doing. But even if you're not, the more consistent and reliable you are, the more guarantees that you have. And again, nothing's guaranteed in this life, but the better probabilities you'll have that things will be working out in your favor in the longer term. If you want to start taking more vacation time, if you want to start doing more things, more flexible with your schedule, things like that will be easier for you because your boss knows that you're somebody that he can count on regardless of the situation. What do you think?
No, definitely. When it comes to work, being reliable is one of those qualities as an employee you need to have in order to, like you mentioned, to move up this scale, to move up the ladder, but as well to do a good job and just be comfortable, because you don't want to be stressing out. If you're not reliable, you probably are going to be procrastinating, and probably you're just adding stress to your life that you probably could avoid. Now, one thing also, like one thing that just came out to my mind right now, it's maybe reliable can go hand to hand to trust. So even at work, or even outside of work, like in relationship, or like just on yourself, trusting you would mean that you are reliable. Like the people are gonna trust you to give you more responsibilities, give you, because they know they can rely on you. So I think reliable goes hands to hands with trust. And that's something that I have always been advocate for. Like, you need trust in every situation in order to maintain a constant balance in whatever you are, work, relationships, and just anywhere. Because if you do not have trust, you cannot move on. So yeah, I think being reliable definitely can be said that is one of those qualities you need to improve as you kind of get older, because it's very, very important and crucial to have nowadays, especially.
Okay. And one other point that just came to mind was the more reliable you are, and the better of a problem solver you are, and the more trust people have in you, the more you become irreplaceable. So that's one of the issues that a lot of people face when it comes to work. They feel like they're just a cog in the machine, and they can easily be swapped out by somebody else. And just given the state of the world that we live in society, with everything evolving as fast as it is, there's a merit to that, right? So you take, for example, like Uber and taxi, right? That immediately changed the whole dynamic of the field. Or you take something like Airbnb and hotels, same thing. So innovation is going to come, and at some point it could come for your job, but you can have a better probability of being able to keep your job if you're irreplaceable. And one of those qualities of being irreplaceable is to be really reliable. So there's that. Let's move on to the other part here. In terms of relationships, being reliable in relationships, how do you feel about
that? Yeah, I think now a relationship, I always say it is more like, it's a constant balance. It's kind of like work. It is literally work. You need to have the constant balance that you can rely on your partner, and you need to have that trust in each other. Now, I feel like a relationship is definitely going to work out to the best, or like for the long run, if there's that trust, and like each of you guys can rely on each other, because it's a lot of work. Like I don't know, one thing that I have been not looking for, but like I have been facing is like, the constant kind of like communication, like being reliable in that you can communicate to your girl or to your guy that you're there for each other, and you relied on each other to in a matter that she can trust you and you can trust her. So I think, once again, being reliable, it kind of goes hands to hands with trust, because if you need to do something and you need a little of help, that you can rely on your girl, and you can rely that you can tell her, or maybe just for moral support, that you she's gonna be there, or he's gonna be there, whatever the case is.
They are gonna be there.
There you go. I think that's even easier, like simplistic. They're gonna be there, and they're gonna be helping you out through ups and downs. And having that support, having the person that you can rely on can be super, super beneficial for the relationship, and just to keep a healthy relationship in the long run, no matter what the circumstances are. Because, you know, a relationship is always ups and downs. It's never, what's it called? Rainbows and roses, like the expression, you know?
Rainbows
So,
and sunshine.
huh?
Rainbows and sunshines.
There you go. That. I've been mixing up my my sayings, but yeah, I think when it comes to relationships, yeah, being reliable is one of those qualities that you need to have on each other, because you need to trust each other, and you need to know that you can count on each other. I think.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? What do you think? You've been in a longer relationship that I have, so
yeah. So yeah, when it comes to relationships, the dynamics with being reliable changes slightly. And I'm still working on it, trying to find a good balance with it. Again, we go back to like the tenets of being in a healthy relationship. You know, you got to respect each other. You have to have genuine desire for each other, and you have to be on a purpose.
Right.
When it comes to integrating reliability into the equation, you know, as you guys keep, you know, expanding the relationship or pushing it further, problems are going to come up, whether it be small or big, whether it be related to little issues in the house in terms of like fixing things,
Mm-hmm.
or needing to buy things that are pretty expensive, whatever the case is. This reliability aspect goes into a bunch of different aspects. You know, your finances, your competence as a person, being able to be a problem solver, et cetera, et cetera. So as it pertains to that, you need to be diligent about knowing shit. You need to be good at fixing shit. You need to be understanding of the fact that this relationship is only going to work if, well, you know, this can be perceived as, you know, a little shitty, but it needs to be known that you are the best option. Mm-hmm. Period. Not only in the fact that, you know, you have those three tenets in the beginning, but like, again, going back to work and being irreplaceable, you become irreplaceable because you're so reliable, you're so consistent. Which isn't to say, again, because this can be misconstrued as, you know, being beta or being what's the expression? It's called a plow horse. Somebody that kind of just does all the work, gets no credit, and just, you know, slaves away until his life ends or their life ends. There is something to that. You have to find the balance. You need to be reliable for other people, but you also need to be reliable for yourself. You can't just think about everybody else and just whatever about yourself, because at the end of the day, this life is yours. So you know, you have to take ownership of that. But going back to the point, you need to be the best option. And one of those things has to be, or one of the tenets of being the best option is being reliable. Being so reliable that the expression that I like to use is that you have to be the most reliable person that you know. Because then that'll always make you have to be better. Because if you're not, somebody else will. And, you know, relationships can come and go, they can come and end, but when you find a good one and you want to make it last and you want to make it build, you're going to have to put in some extra work, not necessarily in the relationship itself, but more towards yourself in terms of your principles, your character, your ability to, again, be more reliable, be more consistent, be disciplined, etc. So yeah, I think that's how being reliable applies to a relationship. The more reliable you are, the healthier of a relationship you will have in the long run.
Right. And I think this goes for both parties. So, you know, the man and the woman, they both have to be the best options for themselves, because it cannot just go for the man. Like, the woman also has to know that she's the best option, and that's how, like, being reliable in each other comes right hand. So I actually agree with you in that aspect, and I'm learning from it as well as I progress.
Right, you don't want to be with somebody that you're always trying to solve their problems.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's one of the things that, you know, I always keep in mind, that you know, I'm not there to solve her problems, but just complement and complement each other in the sense that we push each other to do best. You know what I mean? It's not more about solving problems, especially when you just begin in a relationship. It's just honey, like the honeymoon phase, you know.
Yeah, they like you got those goggles that make everything seem like sunshines and rainbows. Going back to that expression,
But it's not true.
you can't. At some point, the reality will set in, and it's no longer sunshine and rainbows. Now, what it actually is, and sometimes it's not as pretty as it seemed. But if it is a good relationship, you should be putting in the work in order to make it work.
Totally.
In yourself, not necessarily in the relationship.
Yeah, that's true. All right. And
in the work in you, that kind of transfers over into the relationship. It's kind of like a trickle down investment.
That's absolutely true. And regarding the other aspect, like relationships, like overall, like family or friends, being reliable in that aspect. Any thoughts?
Yeah, man. I mean, we come from a Latin or Hispanic background, and one of the things is family, right? Like one of the biggest proponents in our society, in the Hispanic society, is to have strong ties with your family. Like in my case, literally 3 different generations of my family live in the same house: grandparents, parents, children, aunts, uncles, dogs. There used to be a cat, but no more, etc. There's a lot when it comes to family, but in general, all these people are living together, and you guys need to be really good about being reliable for each other, because you're in such a tight community. You have your little tribe there. You can't have anybody dragging you down, because that's going to drag everybody down. You go back to prehistoric times, when we lived in tribes, everybody had to carry their weight. It wasn't just one person. Just simply because if one person was lagging behind, they are going to make everybody suffer. So that transfers over right now into the society that we live in, and your family and friends. If this is your tribe, you need to be the most reliable person in that tribe, because people are counting on you. Whether it be because if you're a friend, people rely people rely on you as a friend in order to be there for them, in order to help them, give them advice, be not necessarily the shoulder to cry on, but be there as a way to just help you view the world in a different perspective, right? Because a lot of times we can get a little too up in our heads and clouded. So you need friends to ground you, to help stabilize you. The same thing goes for family. When you have brothers and sisters, they usually tease you. You usually get into fights and stuff, because you need to get a real perspective on the world. It's not all sunshines and rainbows. The world isn't perfect. And, family and friends can help you navigate that a little bit better by giving you groundedness, right? In terms of like, you have a place to come back to, but also helping you see that, not everything is always going to work your way. Because, if you guys are having a fight in terms of your family, if you're having a fight about who's going to do what, or who's going to have that slice of pizza, or who's going to do the laundry, or who's going to throw out the trash, whatever, you guys need to find some sort of balance. You need to be able to negotiate with each other in order to make that happen. Or you guys fight. You get into a fist fight, or slapping fight, or whatever the case is, or a tickle fight. That usually works out pretty well. Somebody ends up, kicking the other person in the face because they tickled them too much or whatever. But yeah, reliability goes across so many different aspects. And at the end of the day, I still always come back to the expression of be the most reliable person that you know. And that usually takes care of everything.
True. Actually, I heard that expression before about being the most reliable person that, as you know, and or something like that. But anyways, I feel like when it comes to family and friends, you need to be reliable in the sense that you're willing to be there when they need you, but at the same time you don't want to offer you don't want to tell them or like offer that you're there. For example, they're going through certain situations. You don't want to be the first person to like move on. let them ask you first, because sometimes, there are cases that maybe they don't want to ask you for that favor. But the fact that you let them know that you're present and you're reliable to and willing to help them, I think that tells a lot. No, nevertheless, yeah, I think there's always situations on family and friends. There's always going to be, like you mentioned, like some little fights, but knowing that you can count on each other no matter what, even if you guys are angry, then that says a lot. And being reliable, it's always gonna come down to like who you are, and like you mentioned, like being like the most reliable for yourself, because like that's gonna transfer in any other aspects of your life, friends, relationships, or work. So be the most reliable person as you can, and that will just eventually transfer. That's my thought in it. That's how I approach it.
Yep. And again, balance, right? Don't be the most reliable person that everybody else knows, but not for yourself, because that's also a problem. Like I mentioned before, you need to take ownership for your life, and you need to have a balance. You can't just solve everybody's problem and never, live your life, because that happens all the time. It goes to being a plow horse. Like, if you ever, like, what do plow horses do? They just work on a farm until they die. They literally put in as much effort as humanly possible until they have no energy left, and that's it. But you never live life.
That's exactly what I meant about, like, don't go out there just offering to solve everybody's problems. Just express you're there for them, but wait for them to ask you if they need your help or not. Because time to time, maybe they not need your help. You might think that they need your help, but they might not. So just don't go out there trying to solve everybody's problems. I definitely agree with you that, because you have your own problems. And if you're not solving your own problems first, then who the fuck are you to go solve somebody else's problems?
Yeah.
So live your life. That's the best I can say. But yeah, I think that covers it. Anything to say? Anything last words?
No, man. Just be the most reliable person that you know. And in terms of the plow horse, so rather than be the plow horse, you should be the workhorse or the racehorse. Maybe the racehorse, but whatever. You can live a life of luxury. So that'll be a problem as well. But be everything. Be reliable. Be the best version of you. But don't just have that be for everybody else. You need to look back and do stuff for yourself as well. Always balanced.
Right. I don't want to be a horse. I'm not gonna be a horse. That's it. All right, yeah. It was a good one. I'll talk to you later. Peace out, everybody. Take care and be reliable. Deuces.
What the is we doing?